Hi guys, I'm Pradeep Sangwan, founder and promoter of Healing Himalayas. And what led me to become who I am today is a beautiful community in Himachal Pradesh. It's called Shepherds, the real environmentalist of Himalayas. And they inspired me a lot because in 2014, yes, in 2014, I went to this trek from Chandatal to Surastal trek, and I spent some time with the few of the shepherds there, and I saw their lifestyle. In one of the most extreme and difficult situations they live in, and at the same time they try and balance it in such a beautiful way that they don't really harm their surroundings, and they travel a lot. Like during the month of March, they start traveling from uh, various districts such as Kangra, Hamirpur, and Bilaspur, and all. And they travel for a few months to reach their destination. And all along the route, they don't really, create any havoc, or they don't leave any carbon footprints behind. So, and in when they reach their destination, also that is where they live for next 3 months, and that's where I saw their lifestyle, like completely eco-friendly, and I learned a lot from them. And then I thought that why not share their story to the world, and that's how I started doing what I'm doing today. Well, population, I think, and especially the population who believes in miracles, and that somebody else will, clean up our mess. So that's the biggest threat today to the environment. And I've been, dealing with so many people, and most of them think that it's not their problem. But eventually they come around. But initially, it's a bit difficult to persuade people to, come down to the same thought process. So I think population is one of the biggest challenge that we gonna face as a country. Maybe another 20, 30 years, we're gonna explode, but eventually we'll come down to a saturation level. But in the meantime, yes, population is the biggest threat to us. So how do you solve a problem when nobody is bothered to talk about it? Maybe they talk about it all the time, but they don't do anything beyond that. So that's why Healing Himalayas came into picture, and I was doing it already in 2015. I started exploring the opportunity to trek and clean at the same time. Like how exactly I should go about it, because I was used to trekking, but along with trekking, cleaning is another part that we I had to explore by myself. So in 2015, I did that, not very regularly. I was still exploring the options, and then in 2016, I thought that why not? Why not? I should create a platform for people like me, because I used to believe that there are so many people out there who believe in the cause, and eventually that proved absolutely right. So that's how 2016 Healing Himalayas came into picture, and yes, still going strong. Initially, it was difficult to engage volunteers. I think it's a general case in every scenario, whether it's business or organization or individual efforts. But if you are consistent enough, people come down and they participate and they understand the values attached to particular cause. So yes, that's how Healing Himalayas came into picture. And also, I was really frustrated because nobody was doing anything about it, and I just see, the problem in every remote area, rural area, urban area, semi-urban area, wherever I go. If you enter a village, at the entry only you find a small or big dump yard. At the exit also you find the same problem, and it's like it's a part of our culture, society now. It's a part of our lifestyle now, and if you don't see the garbage, you might panic someday. So these things, quite, gave me a gave me panic that I should do something about it. And yes, that's how Healing Himalayas came into picture. So I learned a lot of things about myself when I started Healing Himalayas. I got to know that I have some capabilities, which I assume most of the people will agree on. And initially, I was very shy. I didn't talk much about my work. I started exploring more because, to speak about something, you need to explore it beyond its limits, and you need to be confident enough. So it took me a couple of years to articulate my work. Initially, I never used to go to the public platforms to speak about the work, but now I don't really miss an opportunity. But although my favorite place is into the mountains, trekking, and engage with the people in the field only, where they come down and track with me. So that's the best place to, when they come down as a volunteer, and then when they go back, I feel like they are the ambassadors of Healing Himalayas. So that's one thing that I gained over the years, that confidence of public speaking, one of the things. And then also that if any individual wants to do something and they are passionate about it, they can do a lot. Trust me on this, they can do a lot. But again, one has to be very, very consistent about it. You can't just achieve anything overnight. Rome wasn't built in a day. So, well, the first challenge is your family. You have to convince them that I'm going to clean up the mess that has been thrown by the world. So it was very difficult to, make them understand that all my education is going to the waste collection system. But again, when they saw me doing it the same thing again and again for 2 3 years, they eventually got along. That was one of the most difficult things. But the second part is like, obviously, on the one side you are struggling emotionally, like you don't get a backup from your family. Then on the second phase, that you have to prove that yes, what I'm doing is true also. And it is very important, not just for me, for the broader community as well. And we need to go beyond ourselves. There's a radius that we create around ourselves, that is me, my family, my friends, a close circle, and then we don't go beyond that. So I wanted to go beyond that, and I wanted to showcase the world that this is happening, and this can be a part of everybody's life. So it took me a lot of time to do that. And because initial stage was very difficult in terms of many things, emotionally, physically, financially also, sometimes. So it was difficult to get volunteers in the field, and especially engaging communities who are very responsible for the waste that has been accumulated all over. And then now it's time to clean that up. So people from outside come down to participate with me to various they go with me to various tracks. But the local communities were still reluctant about it. So it took me a few years to convince them that yes, this is for them only. There's nothing, there is no hidden agenda behind it. So it's for their welfare. So the one thing that I learned along the way is that the bridging the gap between what you do and what people understand, and getting them onto a same platform was the difficult task to do. So waste disposal is one of the trickiest part and one of the toughest part in our work. Once we collect, the kind of collection we do is at these remote areas, at these track routes. It itself is very difficult. When we track and when we normally track, it's only 10 kilometers. But when we track and clean, it becomes 20 kilometers. So that's already difficult. Now comes the second challenge, that once we collect all the garbage, how exactly we're going to dispose it? We can't really place it, like picked it up from one trail and leave it in the base village, or so that's where I started exploring how exactly can we dispose our waste. So there are two waste to energy plants. One is functional in Shimla, and another one is in Manali, which is not functional yet. But I'm hoping after this pandemic is over, they'll start. And the second part where we can dispose our waste is into cement plants. So there are two types of waste that we majorly get. One is plastic, and another is glass bottles. So in plastic also we have two segments. One is MLP, multi-layer packaging, and second is PET bottles. So now we have a system in place that all the MLP goes to either waste to energy plants or cement plants, and all the PET bottles which are recyclable goes to the recycling centers with the help of our local vendors. So we give them this plastic free of cost. So they wait for us in a way, and they sell it out, so that eventually it goes to the recycling centers, and our transportation cost is saved that way. Now the third is glass bottles. Now that's a big problem for us, because while trekking we can't really pick up the glass bottle. We can pick it up, but we can't really carry it on our backs. So that's still we are trying to explore that how to go about it. So in this year, we what we had planned is that we're gonna create waste collection centers at our trek routes. So we're gonna create these waste collection centers at our trek routes, and that's where we'll collect all the glass bottles. Once we have enough glass bottles, we'll transport it to two places. This one is in Una, Himachal Pradesh, and second one is in Yamunanagar, Haryana. So these are the closest areas where we can send our glass bottles. they'll take it from us. They'll pay for the transportation in a way, so that they can get the glass bottle, and our transportation cost is covered by them. So that's how we are planning to do it with the glass bottles. But this year onwards, so far we are giving it to the local vendors only, but this year we're going to do it in a proper systematic way. So roughly every year we do around 40 to 45 cleaning drives in Shimla, Prasya Rishi Lake, Khirganga, Shrikand Mahadev, in and around Manali, and in Chudhar also we did some of the campaigns. So most of the work that I am doing is focused in the track routes, and in Shimla is it's focused in one of the biodiversities. So every year we do 40 to 45 cleaning drives, and I think in total in last 4 years we've done around approximately 150 160 cleaning drives, and engaging around 7 to 8,000 volunteers in the field. And these are just cleaning drives so far. So what I'm planning to do is come up with the projects, these waste collection centers that I was talking about. So my focus will be in the remote areas where the footfall is very heavy in terms of tourism, but there are no proper infrastructure to dispose waste. So one such place is Lahore, and second is Chitkul in Kinnaur. So in Chitkul, we're gonna come up with a waste collection center by the end of this year. Once this situation gets better, or the current coronavirus pandemic. So when things get better, we'll explore that opportunity, and we have already our system in the place. So in terms of projects, we're gonna create waste collection centers along with our cleaning drives, so that these remote areas can, we can create a facility to store our garbage there. So because last year what we did is we did a cleaning drive in Spiti, and after 7 days of cleaning drive, our volunteers were there for 5 6 days, and also local communities got engaged, and we did pack one complete dump yard, a small one, but still a truckload of garbage there. So first we had to wait for a truck to come to pick up our waste for at least 20 25 days. Second, in 3 days from Spiti, it reached to Shimla. So third day it reached here. So we are already, not following the rules of sustainability, because transporting our garbage from one location to another is not very sustainable. We need to create solutions within the premises of the problem. But in Himachal, the kind of topography we have, we can't really create waste disposal mechanisms in each and every village. So what we can do is we can create waste collection centers, small scale waste collection center, so that once we have a truckload of garbage, we can transport it to the nearest facility, so that they can treat it properly. So that's how we that's where we are focused right now, and that's where we're going to work in the year 2020, hopefully, once the current situation gets better. So these are the two places. One is Chitkul, and another one is Lahore, where our projects will come up with waste collection centers. So there are three ways that you can volunteer with us. One is you can come and participate with our cleaning drives. Every weekend we do that. It's for 2 nights, 3 days. Come, track, clean, and go back home. And take this message along with you, that wherever you are, you need to maintain that feeling which you got with us. So that's one. Second is we can only have 2 or 3 volunteers with us in the field, and you can come and stay with us, work with us. There are multiple options. You can engage yourself in the field activity. You can work behind the curtain also for the website content writing, designing. There are multiple options. If you are interested, then we'll let you know. And the third is wherever you are, you can give some or contribute some time to us. Recently we were planning to create the design for the waste collection centers. So one of the architects from Delhi, he volunteered for it, and he made the basic layout for it. So things like that, there are multiple options. So whichever is suitable for you, you can come and let us know through email. You can always call me. You can just text us through our social media. So you can register on our website also. I would like to see community participation more. Like every individual should. I think we are already aware enough about the current situation, but what we're gonna do about it? That's where you should be more active. What happens to the garbage that you throw in the dustbin? everybody should know about it, where it's going, what's happening to it. We need to ask right question to the people. We need to ask the right question to the right people. That's where we're gonna find out what's happening with the garbage that we throw in the dustbin. So there are multiple things that an individual can do instead of blaming, the government or the municipal corporation. We must come out and do the right thing. So as a community, as an individual, we must look into it. So my advice will be, you know, travel and track for a purpose. Something which we all do, and it's high time to give back to the society, give back to the nature, wildlife, mountains, Himalayas, because if they start taking on their own, you'll end up facing so many difficulties. So it's better we start doing our bit for the nature as well. Wherever we travel, we travel for a purpose. And it's a beautiful way, you can connect with local communities, you can exchange values, thoughts, cultural exchange. There are so many things when you start doing traveling for a purpose, trekking for a purpose. When we travel, we are bit more happier than usual, because we are traveling, and that's what we wanted to do. And we end up spending a lot more money. We always order a lot more food than we usually eat, because we are happy, we want to spend more. That's a good thing, but at the same time, be mindful again how much you order. Don't waste the food whenever you travel, and be more conscious about your waste that you generate along the way. So the current pandemic that we are facing, and I'm hoping and I'm assuming this will be the last for our generation and many more to come. But in these trying times, in these difficult times, I've seen that people started respecting couple of communities. They started respecting them a lot more than they used to, and which is a good thing. But we need to continue that respect for these communities, because they've been here for a long time and they'll be here for a long time. Also, a lot many things happened during this lockdown, and there are so many things that we got to understand. For example, the what are the takeaways of this pandemic, and current situation, that how environment, how our natural resources or habitats, wildlife bounced back in a very surprising manner. So I what my understanding says that the kind of balance that we were looking for was ultimately pushed down our throats through this coronavirus. But we can't go that extreme in future once this situation gets over. But we can create a balance between economy and ecology. Once we get, you know, once we repair our economy, we can always find out ways to support our ecology at the same time. So maybe, we can look forward to a lockdown in a month. We all stay at our homes once in a month, work from home. Don't go out, and let nature revive in a very beautiful way. And it will release, or release a lot of pressure from me also, because there are just because staying at home, I'm getting so much of help from the nature, the kind of work that I do. But you know I don't want that to happen again on this heavy cost like that we are paying right now at the human life, which is beyond repair. So let's not wait for such disasters to open our eyes, and take a few key things from this pandemic. Yes, it is very negative, it is very disastrous, but it's like yin and yang. Every negative side has a positive one also. So we must look towards that side also at the same time. So this is what my one of the message to the people. Maybe when I'll seek your support to lock down the complete country, the once in a month, then please help me out there. Thank you so much.